What's up guys, I'm JayJT and today we're going to be looking at the patch notes that Treyarch has put out pertaining to the changes that they've made during launch week. My voice might sound a little stuffy or congested, that's because I'm sick, but I still wanted to give a video out for you guys, so try to ignore that if you can. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out a lot. I want to reach at least 8 likes on this video, and I'd like to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year at least. So if anything you can do to help towards that is appreciated by me, and let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. We're going to start off with the weapon balancing. So they nerfed the FFAR. I'm not entirely sure what was going on with the FFAR. I haven't seen hardly anyone using it myself in game, and I haven't used it at all, but they obviously saw that the people that were using it were performing very well, so they decided to nerf it quite a bit. They increased the recoil on the FFAR, and they slightly reduced the max damage from 28 to 27. And this didn't change the number of shots to kill. It's still 6 shots to kill, but I'm sure it affects headshots in some way. I'm sure that somehow or another it takes an extra shot to kill when you factor headshots in somewhere, but I haven't done the testing myself. They also reduced the maximum damage range from 38 meters to 25 meters, and this is the real nerf right here. That's almost 34%, so they have really hammered that maximum damage range, so it is much lower. Hopefully they didn't nerf this thing into the ground. We'll just have to see, because like I said, I haven't played with it much and I haven't seen hardly anyone using it. Mostly only seen people using the MP5, the M16, and the AUG. Those are basically the only 3 weapons I've even really seen anybody using. So and speaking of the MP5, they call it the submachine gun alpha in the patch notes. I don't know why, but it's the MP5. So they reduced the maximum effective damage range from 15 to 10 meters, which is a pretty noticeable reduction. You have to be a little bit closer now to get that maximum damage. And they added more recoil to the initial shots. And these changes were actually accidentally changed back to the original values when they did this recent update, but they plan to change these values back to the nerfed values as soon as they can possibly get an update in. So that shouldn't be too long in the future. And then speaking of the M16 and the AUG, these both received quite a few nerfs, and they both received a maximum damage range reduction. The M16 goes from 25.5 to 21.5 meters, and so it received a slight nerf, and then the AUG went from 38 meters to 30.5 meters, so around a 7 meter nerf there on the max damage range. And the rest of these nerfs applied to both of these rifles. They both saw increased sprint to fire time, slightly slowed move speed while firing, slightly increased delay between bursts, rebalanced fire rate bonuses on barrel attachments, and slightly reduced effectiveness of laser attachments. So that way it's going to be a lot harder to get those one burst hip fire kills, which you should almost never be able to get those anyway. But I think these are all good nerfs. Hopefully they didn't nerf it too far in the opposite direction, but I don't think that they did. I think that they did a good job here, and we'll see how it works in game. I still think they're both going to be really powerful weapons, because it seems like you're still going to be able to get a one burst kill pretty easily, and that's the reason why these are so overpowered, is because sometimes you'll run into people who will one burst you with these things, and it puts you down instantly and you don't even get a chance to really fight them. But looks like they've done a lot to these weapons to try to bring them in balance with the rest of the weapons. Next up, we have the semi-auto rifles, the Type 63 and the DMR-14. Both of these have seen a slightly increased fire rate, and they rebalanced the fire rate bonuses on the barrel attachments for both of them. So a slight buff for those weapons. The M60 also received a buff. They improved the maximum damage ranges, although they did not state by how much, and they improved the movement speeds. Once again, did not state by how much. But overall, you can know that the M60 was buffed. With the sniper rifles, they adjusted movement speed impact when firing to intended values to make each shot feel more powerful, and they fine-tuned barrel attachments that improve idle sway in order to provide a unique feel on each gun. They also buffed the Magnum. They slightly improved the fire rate, they improved the maximum damage range, and they improved visibility after firing the first shot. And Shotgun Bravo, which is going to be the Spaz 12 shotgun, the lookalike, and they slightly reduced the damage between ranges from 5.8 to 7.7 meters. Next up, they did a little bit of tuning to game modes. They made it to where in hardcore mode, The friendly fire system will now properly transition to reflect damage after 3 team kills. So after you kill 3 of your teammates, you will then start receiving all of the damage on yourself when you fire at your teammates. And that's obviously a good thing. We don't want people to keep on killing teammates in hardcore. In Search and Destroy, they fixed an issue where it took longer than the intended 7.5 seconds to defuse the bomb, and I can understand how that would definitely be frustrating for Search and Destroy players. And in Free For All, they adjusted several starting spawns that allowed players to have a line of sight on another player before the match started. Obviously, that's game breaking. You don't want to be starting the match off with getting mowed down by somebody else. So good thing they're hopping on that. They also adjusted various spawns in multiplayer game modes that could result in the player spawning above the ground, and I do not know what this means exactly, but my guess is that players are spawning in the air maybe and falling to the ground. I'm guessing that's what it means. If anybody has experienced this, then leave a comment below and let me know what they're talking about here. But it says that they fixed whatever that issue is. Next up is a lot of Scorestreak balancing, and some of it I agree with, some of it I don't. The combat bow, they reduced the ammo from 5 to 4. I do agree on a nerf to the combat bow, but I don't think this was the way to do it. I think they just simply needed to make it so that it costs more score to get the combat bow, because it's a little ridiculous that it only costs 500 score to get and it instantly kills anything it touches. If you hit somebody directly with this, I believe it's an instant kill, and if you just touch them with the flames, it's a kill, even though it's not instant. It takes a while unless they have flak jacket on. So this thing is pretty powerful. I think it just needed to cost more to use. I don't think they needed to reduce the ammo. The care package, they increased the cost from 1,800 to 2,000, and I've stopped using the care package because it takes way too long to get to you and takes you out of the fight for way too long and makes it way too easy for enemies to locate and try to get to where the care package is. So I stopped using it. I don't know, maybe people are getting too many gunships or VTOLs or something out of this thing, and that's why they increased the cost, but I thought it was such a poor streak already that I had stopped using it, so I don't know why it costs more now. But you guys let me know in the comment section below why you think they increased that. The sentry turret, they reduced the cost from 2,000 to 1,800, and I am all on board for any improvement to the sentry gun because this thing is so weak right now, it's not even funny. I think I'm averaging 0.7 kills per use with a sentry turret because it takes only a single grenade, and it doesn't even have to stick to the turret. A single grenade landed next to the sentry turret will take it out. So this thing basically gets taken out as soon as it gets set down, almost every time it gets set down when I use it. The Napalm Strike, they increased the cost from 2,100 to 2,500, and the Air Patrol, they reduced the cost from 3,200 to 2,700, which I'm okay with. It's not extremely overpowered or anything, so I'm cool with that. The Artillery and Cruise Missile were also increased, which I'm a little confused about. They increased the Artillery from 2,500 to 3,000 and increased the Cruise Missile from 2,600 to 3,500. It already took quite a lot of kills in a row to obtain these kill streaks. It was like 8 or 9 kills in a row in order to get them. So I don't know why they needed to cost more score. I guess maybe they didn't want people to be getting these streaks as easily when you're not going on a kill streak. I think maybe they thought people who were dying and still getting the streak later on in the game, maybe they thought that was happening too often, so they increased it. The War Machine got a nerf from 3,500 score to 4,000 score. I'm okay with this, but I think they should have nerfed it a different way. I think they should have made it so that the War Machine doesn't give you the maximum amount of score. It gives you the same amount of score as you would get if you were killing enemies with your own gun on your kill streak, and I think that's not fair at all. I think that War Machine should give you a vastly reduced amount of score when you're killing people with it, because the War Machine is basically just a free kill. You pull the trigger and boom, you got a free kill. So it should not give you these 500, 1,000, or 2,000 point score bonuses that you get for killing someone with your gun. I think that's how they should have changed the War Machine, but they decided to add 500 onto the score, which is okay too. The Attack Helicopter, they increased the cost from 4,000 to 4,500, and they increased the damage from 50 to 75 per bullet, so they actually buffed the Attack Helicopter but made it to where it costs more to get. So it's going to kill more easily, and they increased the health from 4,500 to 5,000. They decreased the duration of the screen shake from bullet impacts, and they reduced the amount of time the helicopter will stay in one place before relocating. So that way it won't be as easy to lock on a target on this thing. With the VTOL Escort, they reduced the cost from $8,500 to $8,000. They increased the turret burst length so you can shoot for longer and reduce the cooldown time in between bursts so that you can get started shooting faster. So an overall buff to the VTOL, and I'm okay with that. It takes forever to get this thing, and it should be a powerful streak when you do get it. The Chopper Gunner, however, they made it so that it costs more score to unlock, from $6,000 to $6,500, and they reduced the movement on the gun when firing. So I'm guessing it's supposed to be a little bit more easy to see and hit enemies with it now, but it costs more score to get. I think they need to buff this thing even more than that, though, because the Chopper Gunner is ridiculously underpowered. There are some instances where I use the Chopper Gunner and only get one kill because you can't see anything on the map and you can't see any enemies. So you're just firing blindly, and it takes like 6 or 7 hit markers to kill a single enemy, it feels like. So I don't really like the Chopper Gunner, and I now do not use it whatsoever. I use the VTOL since I unlocked it. But hopefully they make it to where it's at least a little bit more easy to locate enemy players for the Chopper Gunner here soon, or maybe even adjust the path of the flight for Chopper Gunner, because on some maps it just has a path that is so bad you cannot see anything. The only map it really does well on is Satellite, I think, and even then you face away from the map for about half of the flight path, so you're not even able to shoot at the enemies for about half the time that you're in the Chopper Gunner. And that's about it on the multiplayer fixes they did, other than some small bugs and crash fixes that they had, and UI errors, things like that. I'm not going to go into all those tiny details, but you can check those out in the Treyarch blog. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys. And they also did a lot of things to Zombies mode, but I don't play a lot of Zombies mode myself. I do play it casually for fun from time to time, and I love it. But my channel isn't really all about Zombies mode, so I'm not going to be going super into detail on that stuff. So you can check that out. Like I said, in the link below, you can go to Treyarch's blog and see the patch notes for Zombies as well. I think they mostly just fixed some issues where players were able to get outside of the map on the Zombies map, and they made it to where Zombies, I believe, can attack more aggressively and maybe do more damage to players that are outside the map. So you can check that out, like I said, guys, through the link in my description. And if you like the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys next time. JayJT out.